This is Annemarie, and she faces a very interesting question. Is a symphony sustainable? When we talk about building a sustainable future, we don't normally talk about building a culture of sustainability, about changing attitudes and actions on a community level, then working your way up. That's what Annemarie is doing. Her community just happens to be a concert hall. Annemarie runs a symphony, and she has tasked herself with reorienting the culture of that symphony towards sustainability. So we sat down to ask her what it takes to get a tuba player commuting by bicycle. Here on Renewable.
Always focus on the possibility, on the potential for what's possible, because that's the dream and that's what people can get excited about. And then when you are really clear about what it is you do, why it's important, everything else follows suit. Because everybody gets it. So my name's Annemarie Petrov, and I'm the CEO for the Winspear Center and the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra. So my general impression of musicians is that they're very conscious of their world. I think it comes with being an artist. I think there are very few artists that aren't very sensitive and conscious of the environment and the world that they live in. And musicians are the same. Even though they may not themselves be the creators and the composers of the music, their roles as interpreters of music has much of the same thought process and awareness.
Musicians interpret the world, so that world better be sustainable. This outlook guides the Winspear's new project.
So we have our Winspear Center, we have our home team, our Edmonton Symphony Orchestra of professional musicians, and then we have the Tommy Banks Center for Musical Creativity that will be housed in what we're calling this completion project. Winspear,
the person, not the place, had this vision that an art form that's inherently sustainable should have a sustainable home. So Winspear, the facility, decided to embrace that in a very literal sense, developing what is currently the parking lot into an entirely new facility, embracing both sustainable engineering and a sustainable philosophy.
So we've been calling it the Completion Project because it's the completion of a vision that he articulated and that we've been living with for all these years, ever since we opened. And underlying all of this is acoustical music, and music in general is an incredibly sustainable and renewable resource. You use it, it's experienced, and it's gone. There's no footprint. And you have a chance to do it all over again from a renewable source of energy, which is us.
So what exactly does that look like? The Completion Project is going to include a 600-seat venue, classroom spaces, a garden, and a daycare. All with a holistic design that takes advantage of renewable resources already available. But as with everything, the devil's in the details.
So there will be a fairly significant roof that extends over it that would allow for shade in the summer and solar gain in the winter. There will be a garden terrace. It will have both deciduous and coniferous trees. It'll have gray water catchment so that we can actually use that for those aspects of our building, whether it's flushing toilets and other aspects of watering that we might require in the building. And then the other significant piece is that there's a district energy plant. That's not our plant, but the space is being afforded for the district energy plant on site, and it's a partnership between the city and ENMAX and ourselves to build this district energy plant, which will then provide heat to all the surrounding buildings in the downtown core.
And though they are using a low carbon footprint design that uses local materials of construction, you build a building once. What goes on inside, day in and day out, also has an impact in keeping operations environmentally sustainable over the long term. Using glassware instead of plastic at concerts, recycling everything, and making sustainable choices when it comes to how you get to and from work, regardless of how big an instrument you may or may not be lugging with you.
And there are several people that bike to work here at the Wind Spirit, especially in the orchestra, and more so on the staff as well. And we've got some staff, mind you, that have biked forever. So musicians are by nature very ingenious, and they all have fashioned backpacks of sorts that hold their instruments. It's pretty cool. So all of them have their instruments on their back, and I believe even our principal tuba has his instrument on his back. Kathy McIntosh rides her bike with her trombone on her back. Right now, one of our bassoonists rides with his bassoon. I mean, of course, it's taken apart and it's in a pretty significant case and it looks square, but there is a bassoon in there. And then we have a violinist as well who bicycles every day. Rain, sun, snow, you name it, they're on their bikes. It's pretty cool.
We wrapped up with Annemarie by discussing what all of this culture and design is actually in service of. Music. How important it is. To the people who write it, to the people who then play it, and to the people whose lives it enriches.
It's absolutely about community sustainability, 100%. If there's anything that lights my fire, it's about the really profound gift that music is to human beings. You know, we all assume that we need shelter, we need food, we need warmth, we need people. And one of the very simplest and most beautiful gifts that we have as human beings is music. We have it right here with our voices. You know, you can be in the most dire of circumstances, but you can always sing. And it's one of the uplifting things that people do regularly when they are in those circumstances. Singing is the one thing you can't stop us from singing. We all have voices.